Hello, everybody. Welcome. Just getting into the chair. Give me 1 minute. How are we all doing? Hope everyone's all right. And is still surviving lockdown. I know it's not exactly entertaining. It's not necessarily great fun. But here we are into the... Depends where you are in the world, but here it's kind of like the 7th week of this kind of thing now, and I have to say, I think the novelty has worn off thoroughly. So we don't have many people here tonight. We normally kind of get up to around about 24, 25, but so far we have 7. So yeah, a little bit of a small start, so we'll see how that goes, and if it's a small number, then we'll maybe cut the show down a little bit, but hopefully everybody got notifications and hopefully everybody got emails. I realized that the first email I sent out had the countdown timer set for next week instead of this week. Sorry about that. It's my fault. And then I broke the countdown timer when I tried to send out a corrected email. The countdown timer was broken, so sorry about that. I didn't want to spam your email boxes because I don't like to do that. It's not nice. It's not very friendly to spam people's email boxes. So I try and keep emails to once a week. At the moment, all they do is they tell you, hey, don't forget Sunday Night Live. At the moment, that's all they do. But I am going to be sending out some different emails, which will hopefully be of use and of help to you guys. That's the plan anyway. Michael Johnson with the $20 donation. Thank you so much. That is extremely cool and extremely kind. Thank you. Michael says, Johnny, for all you do, thank you and God bless. You are awesome, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. Unlike another Mr. Johnson who is not awesome in the slightest. But I'm not going to get any more political than that. But thank you very, very much. That is very kind and greatly appreciated. Especially in this time when we're all kind of at home. Mika Han is here. He says, first we lost track of days, now weeks. Yeah, soon, who knows what we'll lose track of. Yeah, absolutely. I'm losing track of where we are in the year. I mean, fortunately, the bottom corner of my computer tells me that it's the 27th of April, but beyond that, I don't even know if that's true. That's just the way the world is. It's weird. Just Bob says, I hope you listen to Heal the World, a song I sent you. Please share, please critique, and let me know what you think. Just Bob, I will do that, my friend. I definitely will. I apologize, I've not got to it yet. It's been a busy weekend for me here. My wife has been off for the weekend, so we've been trying to make the most of family time this weekend. Because, obviously, she works in the healthcare industry for the National Health Service here in the UK. So she's been extremely busy, and it's a tough job at the moment. Very tough job. So that's what she's doing. So her weeks are really, really intense. And then I'm working for Personas full-time, plus running my business full-time, and, those kind of things. So I have a busy week every week at the moment. So, and Just Bob with $10 donation as well. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. That is extremely kind of you. Thank you. Wow. We haven't even started the show yet, and you guys are throwing your dollars at me. And what is particularly extraordinary about that at the moment is, because we're on lockdown, our economies are starting to slide quite a bit. And so I appreciate every single cent that you guys send my way, because I know that it means more to you. There's more value attached to that now than ever before. And certainly from my perspective, I appreciate it more than ever, because I know that, these are real acts of generosity here. And real acts of kindness, so I appreciate them a lot. Mika Han says, was listening to a bit of Peter Gabriel lately, comforting songs of his. He breaks all the rules of commercialism in song intros. Yeah, he definitely does. Peter Gabriel is a unique guy. He's extremely talented. He has a great voice, and he's a great songwriter. And yes, Sledgehammer is still my favorite song of his. The drummer on there is Manu Katché, French funk fusion drummer, and he actually broke his snare drum on that record because he was, laying the backbeat so strong for that record that basically, as he struck the snare drum one day, it basically flipped back off of the snare drum stand. He hit it that hard. So yeah, there you go. There's a little story about Sledgehammer. It's a great song. It's a great record. And a British animator by the name of Nick Parks did the animation for that. And that was his big break. And then he went on to make all the Wallace and Gromit films. And they are awesome films. Alrighty, so who do we have here? Wow, we've got 15 here now, which is great. That is very cool. So just Bob and Thomas and Michael were the first in the doors. Michael was busy retracting messages, and I think, just judging by some of the subsequent commentary, it was typos. Innocently posting bad words, he says. Yeah, I do that as well. I'm typing so fast sometimes that, you never know what's going to come out of the end of my fingers when that happens. Dwayne says, what's up with the timing? My browser says the show will begin in 5 hours. Yeah, I accidentally selected the wrong times. when I set up the show in YouTube, it is supposed to set it for British summertime. So when I set it for midnight British summertime, that should equate to 6 p.m. Central Time. And on this occasion, I accidentally set the wrong time zone. So I apologize about that. I need to be a little bit more careful about how I set up the show. So yes, that was just I was a little bit, trying to be too fast with the mouse. Michael Johnson says Jonny has a TARDIS and does his show at all times, so gets confused. Well, you know what? There is an element of truth to that, because I do this show here, and then I do Johnny's show on a Wednesday. And lately I've been doing some additional shows with Dave Vignola, which have been really good fun. And yes, it can get confusing because I have to think in about 4 different time zones at the moment. I have to think my own time zone, then I have to think US Central Time, and then US Eastern Time as well. So, and Pacific Time as well, because of where my clients are in the United States, and also, Personas is based in Central Time, so I have to have that in the back of my mind as well for work. So yeah, so I can get confused with time zones sometimes. So let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see. Love Wallace and Gromit. Yes, they are terrific. Mark Rivera, sax player for Billy Joel, said playing on the So album was most fun he'd ever had with his clothes on. Yes, he did say that. I did read that. Mark is a great sax player. Just Bob says, my brain moves so fast that my typing is slow and wrong. Took me 12 rewrites. Yes, I think we all have those moments. All right, so welcome to another Sunday Night Live show. Now, what are we going to be doing? Hang on, let me straighten up my chair, because my back is nowhere near the backrest of my chair, which is very bad for it. So let's get that sorted out, and let's move the mic in just a little closer. All right, so what are we going to be doing this Sunday? Well, we've still got a song to finish, and we are so close to finishing it. We can certainly do that. Now, I have to admit, I've not really done anything with it since the last time we looked at it. So yeah, so I need to remind myself what it sounds like first before we kind of progress with it a little bit more. So if you guys are happy for us to kind of finish this off this week, then let's do that, and then we can move on to entirely new things for the next several Sundays. I need to think about what those are, and if you guys, that's you, and yes, and you, and you, and you, and you standing at the back. if you guys have any great ideas for topics and things that we can discuss on Sunday Night Live, or anything you want me to demonstrate, then please do drop me an email. My email address is Jonny, that's me, at johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk. And if you put Sunday Night Live in the subject, I will be sure to make sure that is the first email out of all the other emails that I read. So please do, if you've got ideas for things we can do on the show, then definitely please do send me those suggestions, and I will build up a list of things that we're going to do. So you email me, you can be guaranteed that we will do your suggestion on a Sunday Night Live. Okay? So do we have a deal, guys? Because I think this would be a great way going forward to work. Mika Han is shouting, why don't doors have pause buttons? That's a great question. I wish I knew. However, that said, on your computer keyboard, your space bar effectively acts as a pause button. A stop, start, and pause button. And it will pretty much stop exactly, where you are. Also, if you have a fader port will do the same thing too. That's easy enough to demonstrate. I can just jump into this section of the song here. So that's easy enough to demonstrate that, it works like that. But you can do that with the spacebar. You don't have to have a fader port or a Studio Live console to do it. It does work like that. So, yes, spacebar does the same thing, usually. So, hope that helps. And smiley faces from Mika. That's very cool. Alrighty, so let's get into the song, shall we? If you guys are up for it. I'm up for it, even if you guys aren't. So, let's go do it. Let's go to the screen. Here we go. We are over in our song. And we heard little tiny bits of the song. So why don't we just jump into... No, let's go from the beginning. All right, so we've got a little bit more of this C section to finish. Yeah, sorry, the trumpets were a little bit out of balance, so I should just fix that a second. All right, so yeah, so that's where we got to, and then we got another 4 bars to fill out here. And we can bring in the other trumpets and tenor and the straight trombones. We can bring those back in and just kind of like finish this with a big little 4-bar riff. And then we're back into the A section, and we can have these guys playing over the top of what was already going on in the A section. What I might actually do, instead of bringing back the first A section, I think I might just bring back these parts here, the alto and trombone parts. I probably should have done like an A2 instead of A1 repeat. But that's easy enough to fix. So we can just go, we can right click, and we can delete that. And we can go here, we can go copy, and then we can go to there. Oh, hang on, that hasn't actually done anything at all. All that's done is just, okay, let's not do that. So, if I remember rightly, it's Alt drag, replace. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. I thought it was Alt drag. Maybe it's Control. No. That's not working. I wonder why that's not working. Is it Shift, maybe? No, that just selects the range. I can't remember what modifier it is. To basically copy and just drag that across. I can't remember what it is. If I just drag it and replace there, it just takes away that A2 section, which is not what I want to do. I can't remember. Is it Windows and drag? No, it's not Windows and drag. Thought it was. Huh. I can't remember. And just by deleting that, all that did was just delete the range. It didn't actually delete the whole section, which is annoying. I wonder why I can't remember how to do this. I could just do it like that. I suppose that would do the job, but then that leaves a gap. Actually, I don't want to go back that far. Oh. Now I've really messed it up. Oh, for God's sake, Lipsham. Seriously? Oh, for God's sake. Come on. This is actually annoying me now. I can't remember. Somebody in the chat should be able to remember what it is, because I can't remember what the damn modifier is. Let's see. And you guys don't even know what it is either. Okay. I guess I'll just have to try and figure it out, and you guys can just watch me do it. Oh well. See, I thought if I was to just drag that, I thought if I shift dragged it, it would work. But shift dragging doesn't do it. Shift just does that, which I don't want. I can't remember what the heck you do. I thought it was alt drag. Ah. I know what I was doing wrong. I was letting go of the Alt key too soon. That's what I was doing. There we go. Human error. There we go. That's that fixed. Okay, let's save it and let's move on, shall we? Alright, so we'll come back to what we're going to do next now. So let's go back to the start of this this little section here, and we'll work out what we're going to do next. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these guys up a bit. They are definitely too quiet. Alrighty, what should we go and put in these last 4 bars here? That's the question, because we want to build back up into this section. So we want to build back into this section, but from this. So we need to fill out these 4 bars here with something kind of a little bit related to this. So that's what we need to come up with. So you guys got some suggestions, hopefully. And we'll take it from there. Michael says, when you get around to reading this, what effect do you use if you want to do stereo spread, but only on high frequencies and keep the lows mono? That would be, you'd probably have to do some mid-side EQ to do that. Yes, I had a classic HST moment. Yes, but it actually wasn't that I forgot what it was. I was right the first time. It is alt drag. Thank you, Michael Neighbor. But it was that I was letting go of the alt key too soon. That's what it was. That's all it was. It was me just being daft. So yes, and I did mess stuff up a little bit. So yes, sorry about that, guys. Let's see. Mike Johnson says, Mikahan, or maybe you have a suggestion for my previous question. Previous question? What was your previous question, Michael? Did I miss it? I must have. I need to reach out to Deer Creek and see if he would be willing to do a cool guitar solo around bar 33. Yeah, a guitar solo might not be a bad idea. Mika says, needs intro solo, more development, but this is a demo. In my opinion, needs percussion, backbeats, more rhythmic life and bounce. Yes, yes. I mean, this is just kind of how I kind of sketch things out. Now, I could keep going for another several weeks, because basically we're only doing this in little bite-sized chunks, because this is only an hour-long show. And I want to be able to have time for answering your questions as well, because that's essentially what Sunday Night Live is all about. So it really is just doing a little chunk here, a little chunk there, a little chunk, you know. And we could be at this song for 3 months, and I don't want to do that to you guys. So essentially all I'm doing really is showing you just how I go about putting together some scratch tracks for a song, which will then eventually be replaced by actual real musicians. So, you know, none of these MIDI parts would ever see the light of day on the actual finished production. They would get replaced by real musicians because I much prefer the sound of real musicians. So what you have at the moment is dry, just input data into Studio One. So, you know, that's all this is. And I'm just getting the bare bones basics of the arrangement done. That's what we're doing here. This is just the bare bones basics of the arrangement. Ice candy, air candy, all of that fun stuff will get added as we go. But at the moment, we're still not finished with the bare bones of the song. We've still got 4 bars to fill out. Once we've got those 4 bars to fill out, and we've got our melody and our counter melodies in the different sections, which we've kind of got a little bit, you know, we can add some more percussion. We can add, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff. And Mika, as you quite rightly pointed out, this is just a demonstration. I'm just showing you my process. You know, this would normally not take me 6, 7, 8 weeks to do. This would take me, you know, a couple of hours. You know, I would have the song finished in a couple of hours. But as we're only doing like, you know, 3, 4 bars at a time. Mike Johnson says, let's replace the drum loop with the James Brown funky drummer beat. Now, that would be cool. Not entirely sure that it totally fits. But yes. That's a great suggestion, because that is one of my favorite drum grooves of all time. And I think it might have been Hal Blaine that played it originally. It's either Hal Blaine or it's Bernard Purdy. I can't remember. Cowbell, of course. We've got to have cowbell. Damn it. Okay. Cowbell, you asked for it. You're going to get it. You are going to get some cowbell. Let's go and do it, man. Let's go and get... I'm sure I can find a cowbell in an Impact track somewhere. If we can't find a cowbell, then there's something the heck wrong with us. Hang on. Let's go and... if there's not a cowbell in here, then... I'll go into Presence XT and find one. So I'm pretty sure there's one in there. See if there's one in this kit here. I'll even go on the B pads if there isn't one. Vintage Ride, Vintage Toms, Vintage Open Crash, Close, hi-hat. Yeah. Okay, nothing in that kit. That sounds quite funky, but no. What's this one? Nice bit of shakers there. Anything on the B pad? No. That Reggae Fundamentals is bound to be something here. Bingo! We've got ourselves a cowbell. What note is that mapped to? Let's see. B1. B1, need to get the MIDI controller on. Hang on. Now, my MIDI controller, for those of you that aren't aware, is a Yamaha QS300, which is ancient. I got it in 1994 when it was brand new in the UK, straight out of the Yamaha factory. Back in those days, I was I was that type of guy that basically contacted Yamaha and say, hey, could you send me one of those and I'll do a demo of it? And they said yes. So they did. They sent it me and I've had it ever since. B1. Let's see if we can find it. This must be on transpose, because that's definitely not B1. That was A1. What's going on here? Hang on. That says 0. That's a little bit strange because my keyboard says that it's not transposing. So that's a B1. Well, that's A1, so something funky is going on here. Maybe my keyboard is finally broken. Which might make doing all of these extra MIDI horn parts a little bit tricky if my keyboard has decided to transpose itself. Alright, let's go and, just for funsies, go and map out a... There you go. Not the funkiest cowbell part in the history of cowbell parts, but that's okay. Because I think we need a shaker part in there as well. I don't know, something like that. Let's try it. There, that'll do. Let's see, where are the notes? Okay, let's go back to the beginning. And they're all the way... What the fudge is going on here? Let's do Control A and Q. What the heck? The heck has Quantize just done to that? Oh dear God, I played it better than that, seriously. Okay. Something is wrong with my keyboard. I'm pretty sure of it now. Because I'm pretty sure I played it better than that. There, that'll do. Okay, let's try that again. The hell is going on here? I got like swing going on or something? Oops. That's crazy, man. There we go. That'll do. You asked for some cowbell, guys. You now have cowbell. cowbell got a bit funky there. The cowbell got a bit funky there, but I'm not doing it again. I'll tidy it up after the show's done. But there we go. Cowbell, you asked, you get. That's how that works. And I guess we haven't exactly done the other 4 bars. We got a little bit distracted, but that's okay. Set your quantize to quarter notes. No, if I set the quarter note, if I set the quantize to quarter notes, then everything will be on the quarter note. I don't want the shaker on the quarter notes, so no, I won't be doing that. That's how quantize works. If you set everything to the shortest note value, it should quantize it to that value. If I set it to quarter notes just because the cowbell is on the quarter note, then the shaker will be way off. It'll just jump. Everything will be like junk, 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 junk. Not necessarily sure that I want that. And now Mika's complaining about the shaker. It has no swing in life. Well, it's because it's a keyboard, Mika. It's not a real shaker. It's a keyboard shaker that I'm hitting with my fingers on a 28-year-old keyboard. So no, it's not going to have any life or swing. And as I said, this is just a demo of how I go about putting scratch tracks together. You know, that's all this is. This is not, hey, let's get world-class musicians in here in front of a whole array of ribbon mics and stuff like that. That's not what this is. This is scratch tracks. It's not meant to be incredibly polished or anything like that. That comes later. That's my process. Your process, Mika, may well be different. This is mine. And I'm all tangled up now. Damn it. So, yeah, I apologize. I'm not trying to come off as being an asshole, okay? It's my show. I'm allowed to say that word. I'm not trying to come across as an asshole. It's just, you know, you're saying, oh, this doesn't have any swing or life. Well, I've only just literally tapped it in on my keyboard. You know, it is what it is. It's not a real shaker. It's not a real cowbell. It's MIDI. So yeah, and I'm sure I could do all sorts of beat delay effects and have the shaker going left to right and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And I probably will at some point further down the line. But you know, I don't do all of the fun delay effects during the compositional process. That's not how I work. All the fun delay effects and all of that come later on in the process, unless I have a specific reason to have a specific effect on a specific sound during the compositional process that is actually part of, you know, it's an integral part of the arrangement. When that happens, then yes, something like that would go in early on. So if, for example, I knew I wanted a palm muted Telecaster guitar, just playing the root notes, but, you know, playing steady 8th notes, but I wanted to have a 16th note ping pong delay, and that was an integral part of the sound of the song, it's a feature of the song, then yes, that would go down pretty straight away. And I would print that, to be honest. I would have the guitar set up that way, and I would print it straight in, so that it's fixed, and I can't change it. So I would do that. But, you know, in this case, you know, you suggested, hey, it needs a little bit more percussion to give it a little bit more drive. So I've added a little bit of percussion. You guys asked for a cowbell. I put a cowbell in there. I agree, the cowbell's a good idea because, you know, it's maybe not the right sound of cowbell. I maybe need to go and change the sound of the cowbell. Maybe I should pitch it down a little bit so it's got a little bit more girth to it. But and you can do that in Impact. That's easy enough. The shaker sound, yeah, it adds a little bit of forward motion to it. But I mean, maybe the fact that it is a little bit too quantized is maybe the issue. But yeah, Scratchy cello solo. Now that's an interesting idea. Scratchy cello solo through a wah-wah pedal and some distortion. That might work. And I've done that with a trumpet before on another song. I did that for my my EP back in 2016. One of my songs has a flugelhorn that I recorded, played myself, just to get the idea of it. And I sent my rough flugelhorn solo to my real flugelhorn soloist, who is amazing and is 1,000 times better than me, called Luke Richards. He is amazing. And, you know, I had played it through the wah-wah. I automated the wah-wah in Studio One in the Ampire as it was back then, the old Ampire XT. And he said, you know what? I really like that sound. I really like that sound. I really like that idea. So when he came to the studio to record his flugelhorn solo, we ran the microphone through his effects pedal. He had like a whole bunch of effects pedals, one of which was a Crybaby wah-wah, and then we ran that through, I can't even remember the manufacturer of this distortion pedal. And then it went through a Tube Screamer, I think, and then into the interface, printed all of that straight in, and it sounded amazing. His flugelhorn playing is outstanding. He's one of those guys that can circular breathe, so he can just keep playing a stream of notes, which is something I cannot do. I can play maybe 3.5 bar phrase before I need to breathe again. But yeah, he's amazing. Claves would sound better. Claves, do you think better than the shaker or better than the cowbell? Because you might be right. That might not be a bad idea. But yes, the last note is off. Yeah, I realized that once I'd duplicated it. But hey, it's a little bit funky. I might even go and move some of the other notes off as well, just to add a little bit of extra fun element to the cowbell. Cowbell player does not have to play quarter notes all the time. Could be quite fun for, you know, every once in a while for one of those quarter notes to be a 16th note early or a 16th note late. Could be quite interesting. Here's the thing though, it's pretty much, the drums are pretty much straight 8th notes. So maybe the percussion needs to be kind of straight 8th note rather than 16th. So that's something I might need to consider. So yeah, all good suggestions. And Mika, I apologize. I was grumpy. Sorry about that. But yeah, I hope you guys understand that, you know, the whole premise behind doing this in front of you guys is that you get to see how I kind of rough things out into Studio One. And a whole lot of these concepts might change. They might not. I might decide when I get later down the line, you know, were this to actually become something that I would record and put on one of my records, you know, some of the arranging ideas might change by the time I get real musicians in the studio and we have a playthrough, and we might go, you know what, actually it would work better maybe if this was the other way round. If maybe that, you know, that section with the crescendo trombones and the muted trumpets was the other way around. And we might switch it up and we might go, hey, actually that works a lot better than what I originally came up with. So, you know, stuff like that would happen when we get to recording. That happens a lot. And sometimes what we end up with when we get to ending recording can be, you know, considerably different. I mean, the bare bones ideas might be still the same, but, you know, what we end up with might sound considerably different, better than what was roughed out in MIDI. So that's usually the process, and I've been doing this, you know, for quite a long time now. But that's not to say that I don't write complete crap sometimes, because I do. Sometimes I write something and I come back in like a week later and I open up that session and I just delete the song. I just go, no, this is crap. This, you know, it doesn't meet my own quality control. It doesn't meet my own quality control. let alone anybody else's. But I do appreciate everybody's input, so I don't want to kind of stop people suggesting things. Because suggesting things is good. I appreciate that. Let's see. Ken says he has a Juno 106 that predates this by 10 years, but it needs repairs and really good cleaning of the insides. Awesome. Junos are great. I love Junos. Michael says, my first MIDI controller was a Casio CZ101. Wow. Those were great, those were. They were fun to play. Michael Neighbor says, every song needs a cowbell. Yep, absolutely. Just Bob says, I need an oboe. Yeah, if I was having Cher, maybe doing the vocal, maybe an oboe might be appropriate. Mike Johnson says, yes, I see this part of the show as the tracking stage. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it is. This is kind of me getting my rough ideas down. Some of which might get deleted, some of which might get, might actually make it to the final production phase. Let's see, Steve Viville, I think that's right. Steve Viville. Question, is Studio One good for electronic music? Yes, it is. And if you don't believe me, I'm not an electronic music guy. Go and talk to my good friend and Personas colleague, Gregor Bialy, who does a whole series of videos over on the Personas YouTube channel. Just go search the Personas YouTube channel for Studio One with Gregor and go and check out his videos because he is an expert in the field of electronic music production. And Studio One is really, really good for it because, well, he uses Studio One full time. He works for Personas as a software specialist, and his music field is electronic music. That's what he does, and he is extremely good at it. And he has some really, really awesome workflows that he uses in Studio One for producing electronic music that I don't use at all. In fact, for what I do, I would imagine that maybe there's a good chunk of the functionality and the features of Studio One that I'm not using because I don't probably need a good number of them because I don't have any hardware gear, outboard gear anymore because I got rid of all of my outboard gear a lot of years ago. Don't need those things anymore. So there's a whole bunch of things that he does that I don't do. Let's see. Mika says, being a rhythmically challenged old white guy, I find doing Latin percussion difficult to pull off. So many different quantizing subdivisions make conventional quantizing hard. Yeah, I would agree with that. What I find tends to work, and I didn't do it here, but what I find tends to work is instead of going for exact 16th notes, maybe give it between a 5 and 8% swing. If you're doing 16th notes, like for, something that is a little bit more Latin or a little bit more Brazilian orientated. And actually, to be honest, because this drum loop that we have running is not quantized, maybe quantized percussion just doesn't fit because it's right on the beat, whereas the drums are a little bit behind the beat. Matt Chamberlain is the drummer that played the drum loop. And it's entirely possible that, being really rigid with quantization for the cowbell and the shaker just doesn't fit because it's a little bit too tight. And so I could probably quantize it roughly to where I want it and then loosen it up a little bit. So I would do that maybe with a little bit of swing, or maybe even using the humanize feature in Studio One. That would definitely work. So I may well do that once we're done after the show. I may well go and take care of that. Mike Johnson asks, Mika, do you have a go-to VST for stereo spread? I own Ozone 8 and it has ways to do it, but I'm looking for something that works good but is very simple so I can just slap it on a bus or master. That's a good question, and I'll look forward to Mika's answer on this, actually. But my own personal opinion on stereo wideners or stereo spreaders is, some of the really good ones, what they will do is very clever. Now, some of the cheaper ones, or freeware ones, what they tend to do is they tend to fool your ears. What they do is they turn up the sides. It's just a volume control for the sides. Quite often. So the stereo width is an illusion in that way. All it does is just turn up the sides. And what can happen with that is if you apply too much of those particular stereo widening effects is that it can end up putting your mix out of whack. It can just pull it out of balance and it can create some phase issues. So when you then collapse it to mono, because you really should check your mixes in mono, even if you don't actually mix in mono, you should definitely be checking your mix for mono compatibility. Because if you don't, you could find that there's a whole bunch of phase cancellation issues that you can end up with. And stereo widening can cause some of those issues. And you could end up with, elements of your mix much more buried than they should be, or, elements of your mix standing out more than they should be because of cancellations. So those are things to bear in mind. So I'd love to see what Mika has to say on that as well. Mike Johnson says, when I was a young kid and taking drum lessons, the hardest thing for me were paradiddles. Yeah, paradiddles are tough, man. Quite often what happens with drummers when you're learning paradiddles is you find that you get to a certain speed and then you cannot go any faster. And it's purely a physiological challenge. I cannot physically make the sticks go any faster. Why is that? Why have I hit this wall where I cannot actually make the paradiddles go any faster? And I'll tell you what it is. It's because a lot of times, and I'm not going to blanket state, I'm trying not to blanket every drum teacher on the planet into this, but a lot of drum teachers, when they're teaching, they don't teach rebound. They teach finger or wrist control. They don't teach rebound. So when you're doing the diddles of the paradiddle, they don't teach you to apply rebound so that you rebound the diddles instead of actually directly playing the diddles. And I got taught badly to start with. And then I met a guy who is a drum major in a drum corps. And I asked him, I said, hey, obviously I'm left-handed, I can't play in any drum corps, but still, I love the way you guys rebound your sticks. And I know your drum heads are tighter than the tightest thing on the planet. So, there's going to be some rebound there anyway because the head is so tight. But I would love my paradiddles to go faster because I was reaching this brick wall point. How do I go any faster? And he said to me, bounce your diddles. I said, bounce the diddles? What do you mean? And he showed me, he said, instead of going, right, left, right, left, right, left, here's just like go right, left, right, left. And on the third stroke, the right, left, right, you bounce it. So you go right, left, bounce, bounce, left, right, bounce, bounce. I was just like, oh. And as soon as I started doing that, and as soon as I started to rebound my diddles, I could go twice the speed And suddenly my paradiddles were as fast as, if not faster than, my double strokes. And then that opened up a whole bunch of other rudiments that had diddles in them. Because other rudiments that had diddles in them, I could bounce the diddles like no one's. It was just so easy. And so all the rudiments that have diddles in just suddenly became 1,000 times easier. So there you go. Bounce your diddles and it just becomes, paradiddles just become the easiest thing in the world. Let's see. Mika has answered. But before I get to Mika, I'm just going to read Ken's point here. He says, what I have read or heard is to use it sparingly and subtly so you don't get artifacts. Yes. Yeah, definitely with stereo whitening. Use it sparingly and subtly. Mika says, mid-side works best. Yes. But Brainworks BX Control is pretty darn good. I don't do mastering usually. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree about the Brainworks. The Brainworks is probably one of the best ones out there at the moment. Let's see. Sideways Audio. I think you're new to my show. Welcome. Sideways says, DRMS by Matthew Lane for whitening. Also maintains mono compatibility. A little learning curve. Okay, cool. Well, that's something worth looking at. Michael says, tighter than a gnat's arse stretched over a rain barrel. Yes. Excellent description. So yeah, I think definitely check out those recommendations from Sideways Audios and from our good friend Mika. Let's see, Just Bob says, good night, my friends, dinner ready. Just Bob, enjoy your dinner, my friend, and thank you so much for your generosity and for your kindness. You are a gentleman. You're awesome. Thank you. Mika says, JL hasn't allowed me to post links. Yeah, I don't allow links to be posted. If you want, if you would like a link to a reputable source to be posted that would help in this instance, then definitely email the link to me, or you can message me in Facebook and I will copy paste it into the chat. I can definitely do those kind of things, but generally speaking, I don't allow links, and the reason is really simple. When I started doing this show on Sundays regularly, I think it would be 3 years ago nearly that I started, and I had links allowed, and people started coming in and spamming my chat. And they were posting links to all sorts of extremely disreputable things that I would never recommend anybody to go and click on. So I was just like, right, that's it. No more links. Goodbye. Goodbye links. Nobody posts them apart from me and my chosen moderators, which at the moment is Jonny Gibe, Mike Neighbor, and Ken Moss. They are my chosen moderators, and they help whilst I'm doing the demonstrations to make sure that chat is all good. You guys, my moderators, you are awesome, and I thank you very much for your help with my shows. You guys are great. You make doing my show a lot easier. So, we didn't get to doing our 4 bars, did we? We piddled about with some percussion. But I will have a play around with that percussion a bit more and get it sounding a little bit better. And so by the time we come back next week, you'll hear much nicer percussion than what I did tonight. But yeah, the percussion idea is a good one. I just need to play with it a little bit more. And, when I'm trying to condense doing this into probably about 20 minutes so that I can have, another 20 minutes for questions, yeah, it's a little bit hard. So you only get a little snapshot of what I do with this song. And we're kind of working like a photo album at the moment. It's kind of photograph by photograph at the moment, effectively. Mika says, can I get your email address? Yes. It is Jonny at JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. I'll type it in here. Jonny at JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. There's the email address. If you guys have ideas for shows, then definitely email me following the email address, in the chat there. Yeah, Jonny at JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. If you've got ideas for future shows, once we've finished this kind of song thing that we're working on, and you've got some topics that you want to cover, or you've got mixing techniques that you want me to look at, or songwriting or harmony stuff that you want to go through, we can do that. We can do all of that. That's fine. So any subjects that are kind of around the ideas of music production, composing, arranging, mixing, mastering, all of those kind of things we can cover. So if you've got an idea for a show, email me and put the subject as Sunday Night Live, and I will, what I want to do is I want to compile a list of your suggestions for this show so that I can get, so we can have like a whole bunch of shows that are pre-planned and are entirely 100% based around your ideas, around your suggestions, so that you get to see the things that you want to see rather than me going, hey, I think I will do this week. And you're just like, nah, I'm not really digging that this week. Maybe next week I would, but this week I'm not. So, I want to avoid those kind of things. I want this show to be about you because it is about you. Otherwise, I could just get an early night on a Sunday, I could just go to bed before midnight on a Sunday. That would be fine. That would be great. But this show is here for you guys. So if you guys still want this show, if you guys still want, if you want particular subjects, then email me and we will go for it. Just remember that if we're doing anything to do with songs or songwriting, we have to be careful because there are copyright issues. So I cannot play any examples of any copyrighted works at all. I just cannot do it. So we are going to have to think a little bit creatively about how we get around that. So so that I'm not talking specifically about, I'm not playing the specific example, because I can't do that. Ken says, can't wait to get to the 4 bars when the song is done. Yeah, absolutely. Mika says, use delays for some bounciness. Yes, Mika. No, I'm only kidding. Of course, yes. Delays are great. I love delays. I use them a lot. In my songs, I use delays probably more than reverbs, actually, as it goes. David is here. David SJ. He says, just dropped in after the Rets Show live stream. Oh, didn't know that was on. Cool. To give Jonny a thumbs up. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. Mike Johnson says, show idea. Take suggestions for a list of 10 all-time favorite songs and then let's all try to break down the common denominators between them. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. That is something we could talk about. We could discuss rather than actually having to play any of the examples. So are we talking about my personal favorite songs, or maybe this is something where we all have a list of our favorite songs? And then, feature, somebody's list. Maybe we do one list per week or something. I don't know, because that could if everyone posts their 10 songs, then we could end up with like 500 songs in the show, and it would be difficult for us to go into any depth. So maybe we need to do somebody's 10 every week if we're going to do that. So we could do that as a series of shows, maybe. I don't know what you're thinking. So Michael, why don't you email me rather than discuss it in the chat here? Email me so that you can expand on exactly what you think. Okay? Because once this show is over, the chat will be on replay, and I probably won't revisit it, so I will probably forget. So I would prefer, rather than, kind of putting your show ideas in the chat just now, please could you email me, and then we can we can go from there. So, I mean, I'm not saying that is a bad show idea. That is a really good show idea, and it's definitely something we can do. But please do email it to me rather than, discuss it in the chat right here. It'd just be a lot easier for me. It'd be a lot easier for me to, I want to compile one list of show ideas in one place. So I don't have like people pinging me on Facebook with show ideas, emails, and then in the chat as well, because, show ideas will get lost if we do that. And I don't want that. I want to make sure that your show ideas get done. Okay, so I hope you appreciate that. Michael, that's funny. Poor Mika. Sorry, Mika. Sorry, Mika. Lowen said something MIDI. Something MIDI to you too, my friend. Welcome. I'm glad you're here, by the way, Lowen. Thank you. Thanks for coming. And Michael Johnson is going to email. Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we are at 10 past the hour. We did not get to do the missing 4 bars. So we can do that next week. And even if I get some time before next Sunday's show, I didn't this week, but if I do get some time this week before next Sunday's show, I might even have a better idea of what to do in those 4 bars. And it would be just dead easy to just put it in. So there we go. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And a big thank you to those of you that donated to the cause. And that was Michael Johnson with the $20 and Just Bob with the $10. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. And I can tell you that we peaked tonight at 22, which is good. It's a smidge below par, but it's still really good. I'm happy with that. But, I want to grow the show. So if you guys know people that you think this would be a great show for, and you'd love to see them get involved and get engaged, please do tell them about the show and get them along. Tell them when it is. Tell them where the channel is and how to get involved, and bring them along. Bring along your friends. Bring along your friends' tennis partners. Bring along your friends' tennis partners' cousins. And before you know it, we'll have 600 people in here, and that would be epic. So, thanks a lot, everybody, and I will see you on Wednesday over on Jonny's channel for Songwriting Simplified. I have no idea what we're going to do. I'm sure we'll do something fun and something entertaining for you guys about songwriting, and then, of course, we'll be back round here to Sunday. I think Dave Vignola wants to do something this week. I'm going to have a look at my calendar and see if I can squeeze something in with him. But we'll have to wait and see. And I am going to leave the last words for this show in the very capable hands of Mr. Mika Han, who says, the only way to win the game is to not play at all. That's very good. I like that. All right, folks, I'm going to wish you all a very good night, and I will see you on Wednesday. Good night. I have to hit the right button now. Bye. Good night, everybody.